It's time we had a little patriotism around here. Let this idiot of a president drag us all down to our knees. This is a great country with a great people. And we deserve better than this president. And we deserve better than these so-called leaders. Why are they leaders? What makes them a leader? None of them are leaders. Let's be clear about what's occurring in this great nation of ours. The federal government is consuming not only the economy, which is your private property, all of our private property, but it's consuming your liberty. Because private property rights, your income, your house, whatever, and liberty are inextricably connected. And when the federal government consumes your private property and your liberty, it is destroying the Constitution. And the Constitution is the bulwark intended to limit these bastards. That's the whole point. They get up there in their $1,500 suits, their nicely knotted ties, their perfect makeup and cropped hair, reading off their damn teleprompters, telling us what's wrong with us. No. What's going on is more than a downgrade of the government's credit rating. It's even more than a downgrade of the economy. The federal government is literally attempting to replace the civil society. Now, what do I mean by the civil society? I mean all the institutions and activities that take place among and between free people. Whether it's businesses, whether it's church, whatever it is. Voluntary interactions. Motivated by individual desires, wants, and needs. Look around you. What's not taxed? What's not regulated? What's not being banned? The list is growing longer and longer and longer. Like you don't get to decide what food you eat, what you can drink, what you can wear. Somehow you need some jerk who managed to get a government job to tell you how to live your life. And not only you, but your kid. Where's that in the Constitution? The path we are on is the path toward tyranny. It's that simple. Look around you. The federal government is getting bigger and bigger and more powerful because the limits placed on it by the Constitution have been breached. They've been breached by Congress. They've been breached by the president. They've been breached by the courts. And they've set up this massive administrative state that operates on its own. This rogue, massive fourth branch of government that has no constitutional basis whatsoever. It institutes its own laws. It's not responsive to any election. It's not responsive to the will of the people. And yet there it is. Shutting down coal mines. Shutting down oil drilling. Shutting down this. Shutting down that. Does it ever open anything? No. It shuts things. Let me try it this way. The federal government is akin to an alien force. So many of its activities today are not sanctioned by the Constitution or the people. So it keeps consuming. It consumes private sector jobs. It consumes private businesses, farms. It consumes your pensions and your incomes and your profits. But even that's not enough. So it prints its own money so it can consume even more, well beyond the ability of the current generation to work hard enough to pay for it all. And it's still not enough. It's still not satiated. It lays claim to the goods and services that will be produced by future generations, by your children. Your children are already facing a miserable future because the federal government today already has put a lien on their work, on their property, all during this debt deal debacle. You heard the left demand that Obama resort literally to dictatorial tactics to evade Congress's borrowing power under the Constitution, under Article 1, by misapplying intentionally the 14th Amendment. What did they say? By the time the courts catch up, who cares? That came from a former president, even Clinton. It came from law school professors who should lose their tenure. Today, they're in federal court defending Obamacare, insisting that the federal government has the power to compel you to purchase goods and services you don't even want by twisting the Commerce Clause. Everyone knows the Commerce Clause doesn't say that. And you hear them say that the general welfare clause, it's not even a clause, it's an introductory statement of the Constitution. Or the necessary and proper clause. Erase the entire Constitution. Those are the only two parts of the Constitution that should be followed, because that gives maximum dictatorial power to the federal government. You hear them argue for these things. Well, they're lies, of course. They are brazen efforts to destroy this republic and replace it with an imperial federal government. But you say, Mark, the Republicans will one day control the federal government, so why would they consolidate so much power in the federal government? The Democrats say this. Now, the answer should be obvious by now. It is much harder to contain and unravel tyranny than it is to advance it. The left has seen that very few of their monuments to an increasingly powerful federal government have been undone. Republicans are not willing to take them on, and in fact, often expand them. George W. Bush is a prime example. He made precious few efforts to contain, let alone roll back, the federal government. Now, he doesn't come close to Obama when it comes to a big government agenda, but when it comes to Republican presidents, he's almost the biggest of the big government Republicans. Obama figures that whatever he puts in place, it will remain in place, if not in whole, in substantial part. That's why he's willing to fight to the bitter end for his policies. Obama has no intention of using his presidency to cut spending. Folks, he's the biggest spender since the beginning of human life. Why would he now say, oh, I had a V8, and slap his forehead and all of a sudden say, I was wrong and reverse course? More when I return. I see my Tea Party friends have been under attack by the loathsome leftists. Let me tell you something, folks. If you believe in liberty, you're a Tea Party activist. If you believe in the Declaration of Independence, you're a Tea Party activist. If you believe in the Constitution, you're a Tea Party activist. If you think this government's out of control, you're a Tea Party activist. If you admire the Founding Fathers, you're a Tea Party activist. See, folks, we're all Tea Party activists, which is why the leftists, those who, according to that recent poll, represent about 20% of the American people, that would be the drones, hate you so much, hate us so much. We're not going anywhere. We've got to take this country back. We've got to take it out of their hands, and we've got to reinstitute the Constitution. I'll be right back.